Hey everybody, my name is Paul Esden Jr., aka Boy Green. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com, and we are streaming live simultaneously in not one, not two, pulling a LeBron James here, but three places. The Heavy on Jets Facebook page, over 20,000 New York Jet fans out there. My YouTube channel, youtube.com/BoyGreen25, and of course on Twitter, just at BoyGreen25. And we are here for a very special occasion. We have a relatively new member to the beat this offseason coming in. His name is Antwan Staley of the New York Daily News, and we're going to bring him in here right now and waste no more time. Mr. Antwan Staley, what is happening, my man?
Hey, how you doing?
Well, I'm doing awesome, Antoine. For those who don't know, on top of us just going to be talking about Jets here and some semi-breaking news there with a surprising cut. We'll have to get your insight on it here in just a moment. But it is, of course, week one, New York Jets, Baltimore Ravens. And Antoine, we're staring at each other right now virtually over a camera, but we're going to be in person coming up on Sunday for a special pregame tailgate with the Middle Initial podcast, Antoine. So first off, I saw that they helped you announce your arrival to the New York Daily News. What's that relationship? Or what happened there that you guys ended up finding one another?
I think I spoke with them last year in regards to, I think it was somebody, I can't remember who it was. Like they had me on, like I forgot, just talking about a specific Jets player or whatever. I think it was about Kayvon Thibodeau actually too, and then
Oh
how
yeah.
he eventually be drafted by the Jets maybe, and then
Mm-hmm.
from there, then we just kind of kept in touch, and then I got the job covering the Jets, so and I just I was like, yeah, y'all can break the story, whatever. I think a lot of people knew by that point, but I was
Yeah.
just like, yeah, we just get it out there.
Well, I got to say that that's really cool for a Middle Initial podcast. Which, by the way, you guys should follow them. They do amazing work, and they are the people that were able to put all of this together. And we'll give you the details throughout today's show. You can also visit the link in the description for how you guys can buy a ticket, and make sure you show up. Again, we're going to have food, we're going to have liquor, we're going to have myself, Antwan Staley, and a couple of notables, kissing babies, signing autographs, talking some Jets, and get you guys ready for week one, Baltimore Ravens and New York Jets. So I just got to say, Antoine, but that's really cool of you to do that because, again, Middle Initial Podcast, a lot of people don't know who they are. So to give them that opportunity to kind of help break the story, and it seemingly went a little viral on Twitter, that's really cool of you.
Yeah, it was definitely. It got more retweets and likes than I thought it would, but yeah, it
Yeah.
just kind of took off on its own.
By the way, tell us. I don't know if you could give us any of the deets on getting the New York Daily News job. It's we had DJ Bieneme for a little bit, which was cool, and God bless him. Houston Texans, ESPN. Okay, DJ, that's what I'm talking about. And then the opportunity presents itself. How'd you get the call? How'd you kind of come across the job and ultimately end up seizing the day, so to speak?
Well, basically, I guess I just interviewed for it, and I guess they liked me enough to say that they had the
Yeah,
job. I mean, I've covered other NFL beats before, so I was previously
sure.
covering the Dolphins and the Carolina Panthers. So I guess the experience really helped with that too. And I had asked DJ about it, who I know really well. So we just kind
Right.
of talked about how the beat was and stuff like that. So I think that helped too as well.
What intrigued you about the job? I know that you have the connection with the Dolphins. I know that's one of the beats that you've graced before. But what about so you applied for it. So what about the Jets job was like, this is an opportunity I'm intrigued by?
Well, I mean, anytime you're in, a big New York market, even
Sure.
though the Jets are playing in Jersey, but you're in that market, I mean, it's obviously appealing. But yeah, I think they have a good young team. I really do. I think that, last year was it's a tough year, but I think ultimately it was going to be like that just because it's a lot that needed to take place as far as roster upgrades and things of that nature. You have a first year head coach, first year quarterback there, and you're just trying to get the ground running. I think now, you have a second year in Zach Wilson, you have second year in Robert Saleh, you've added some pieces in the draft too, and free agency as well. I don't know what their final record might be. I think I'm gonna do a story on that later this week, but
Mm.
I definitely I think I'm intrigued by the roster, and I think they'll be better than what they were last year.
Antoine, man, it's not your first day on the rodeo here. What a beautiful Tease. Excellent. So look forward to that later this week. A little Antwan Staley action. Well, Antoine, let's talk about the breaking news. Now, this isn't going to be on ESPN Sports Center, but for Jet fans, I think a lot of us, including me, went zoinks. Zooey mama. Okay, so bringing back Connor McDermott again. For those who don't know, the Jets just announced that they have re-signed Connor McDermott. They're or signed rather, but he was on the team previously, and they bring him back, and you're like, okay, well, bring back Connor McDermott makes sense. Prior to that, I think Max Mitchell was the only backup tackle on the roster, so okay. And all of a sudden, side note, yeah, corresponding move, cut Zonovan Knight, Bam Knight, the guy that Robert saw was like, yeah, look at these undrafted free agents, look how hard they worked, and all of a sudden, first week, thrown to the side of the street. What happened here, Antoine?
Well, basically, I mean, I just think they wanted another offensive lineman, and it's a numbers game now that you're in the season. So somebody you want to bring somebody on, somebody else has to go, and they already have 3 running backs and Ty Johnson, and obviously Brees Hall and Michael Carter. So they felt like they can release Zonovan Knight, and hopefully, for them, he can land back on the practice squad. So if need be later on in the season, they can always bring him back up too as well. So I think that's the general thought there in regards to Zonovan Knight.
Yeah, so I get that. Okay, it's a numbers game. 4 running backs. Some teams only keep 3, but I think a lot of us would have went. So Ty Johnson again. He was the star of the show last year. Everyone was all about him. This interesting find by the Jets, former Detroit Lion. Like, oh wow, this is like heading into the year. Like, wow, man, Ty Johnson. This guy's going to be a stud with Michael Carter and everybody. But then he had this, I don't want to, rail on the kid, but I mean, he had an off year where he's dropping passes left and right, and all of a sudden, Jet fans went, boy, look at this kid. No, not going to happen. And a lot of people didn't expect him to make the roster. So how the heck? What does Ty? What did you see, Antoine? Did you see something during camp that Ty Johnson separated himself from the rest of the pack? Does he have photos of the Jets coaching staff? Like, what's happening here? How did Ty Johnson? If you're going to cut one of them, shouldn't have been Ty Johnson over Zonovan Knight?
I just figured probably experience came into play here. I think
Sure.
I thought that Ty would probably make the roster in my projections before Zonovan Knight. That doesn't necessarily mean that I think Zonovan Knight is a bad runner. I actually thought he should have been drafted, to be quite honest
Yeah,
with
me
you.
too. Yeah.
I was very surprised he went undrafted coming out of NC State. But yeah, I just think that basically they feel comfortable a little bit more with experience with Ty Johnson and knowing the system, and again they feel like they can put Zonovan Knight on the practice squad, and then I imagine he'll be back up later on sometime this season one way or the other. So I just think that's probably their general thought without even asking them. But yeah, I think that's kind of what I think the Jets and Robert Saleh and Joe Douglas thinking is right now in regards to that.
Although the only thing I'll say, they also thought some of those other guys that they were sending to the practice squad were going to make it, but some waiver wire claims intercepted that too. So they thought that, Jason Pinnock, yep, he's going at new, or this guy or that guy. And those guys ended up not making it. So fingers crossed, we'll see. Again, I get in the grand scheme of things, we're talking about RB4 apparently, which is the pecking order that the Jets say. So, they have Brees Hall, a guy they drafted, highest drafted Jets running back in 31 years. So again, I know they're not obviously crying over any spilled milk here about whatever happens with Zonovan, but still somewhat surprising there from that standpoint. And Antoine, week 1, Jets Ravens. I know the Jets are a prohibitive underdog, no matter what bookie you happen to be looking at. The latest line I saw was 6.5 Ravens as we're heading into MetLife Stadium. Does that seem right for you to kick off game week?
Well, I guess it's lower than what it was. It was more than a touchdown.
That's true. That's a good point. Yeah, right.
So I guess maybe, they're thinking Zach Wilson might play. So they just, took it down about a point. Yeah, I mean, I guess I could see it going down to about 5. I mean, the Ravens are a team that I think some people are high on this year, especially, they looked great last year until Lamar Jackson got hurt. I thought they were one of the best teams in the AFC, and I think some people may think that this year too as well. So I'm not totally surprised too. And they have a style that I think is unique to them that it's very hard to, prepare for, especially if you're a young team like the Jets. So I'm not necessarily surprised that they're underdogs in this.
Again, we're speaking with Antwan Staley. He is the guru of all things New York Jets for the New York Daily News. He's joining us live here again on the Heavy on Jets Facebook page, youtube.com/BoyGreen25, and of course on Twitter at BoyGreen25 as well. Let's get into that, Antoine, because Robert Saleh stepped up to the virtual podium earlier today, and when asked about the quarterback decision, says, hey, he left the door ajar for one Zach Wilson, which a lot of us are like, is that gamesmanship? Is that just code speak? Is it clearly going to be Flacco? But he seemed to say that Zach Wilson seems to have a real good shot of playing, but we have to see, obviously, how he reacts. And then the message from Saleh seemed to be, if whatever we know on Wednesday, we'll let you guys know. So we're not going to be hiding it or trying to do it here. Antoine, what's your gut say? Do you think Zach plays? And what'd you make of Saleh's comments today about working him out and getting him some extra juice ahead of the game?
Well, we kind of saw him come out of practice last week as the media was leaving, because now the media is only allowed to watch about 15 or 20 minutes of practice, basically get rolled on who's there
Right.
and who's not. And as we were leaving, Zach Wilson came out there. So I assume he probably did some throwing and stuff started last week, and then it's just kind of carried over into this week. Probably, accelerated a little bit, see what he can do there to try to get him ready for the game. I know a lot of people thought Joe Flacco would play right away, but I mean, if they feel like Zach Wilson is ready, you might as well just go ahead and throw him out there. I know he hasn't had their game reps, but at this point, he's not necessarily going to get them until he starts playing. So
Right.
you can't really, there's nothing you can really do about that. Now he didn't play necessarily in the preseason other than that one game in the first quarter. Didn't have those reps after that because of the injury. So you just kind of have to, ramp it up and try to do what you can now to get him prepared, because he's going to play at some point, and that's just how it's going to be. But yeah, I'm not surprised at all, especially seeing how he's walking without a limp now around the locker room and around the facility. So I think he's probably getting close. If not, he doesn't play this week, and I think he'll definitely play against Cleveland.
Yeah, we're in the same line of thought here, Antoine. I thought that no later than week 2 at Cleveland, and now even obviously looks like a good chance for week 1. And I think it was the Giants game was the one where Zach Wilson was on the bike and didn't have a sleeve, didn't have a brace, didn't have anything. That kind of went, interesting. Could be something there. Let's talk about it again. One of the other reasons that we're gathering here today, because we don't need any reason to talk to Antwan Staley, for Pete's sake. I mean, there's any excuse I could come up with would be fantastic, but we have the Middle Initial Podcast home opener tailgate. Folks, it's $30. And here's what you get for your $30. You get food by Chef Cream. You get liquor by Rodimus over there. You get food, liquor, and of course, you're going to have a lot of us here. It's going to be a lot of fun. There's going to be games, photo opportunities, giveaways. Again, $30, okay, to the Middle Initial Podcast. You can look them up on social media. Also, the link is down below for this home opener tailgate. It's Sunday, September 11th, of course. Lot J14. Again, you need a ticket to get in. That's a key. I've heard a lot of people say, man, can't wait. See you there. I'm like, you need that ticket, though. To be able to get it. It's going to be gated. You're not going to be allowed in, long story short, without a pass, and then you'll get a wristband once you get in for this. And it's 100% worth it, guys. You get food, drink, hang out with Jet fans, and it's going to be 3 hours from 9 to 12. So again, the link is down below. It'll be me, Antwan Staley, and a bunch of your favorites there as well to get involved. All right, let's try to get some comments in here. Let's see if we got any questions here. Stephen Rosiak here. Hey, Paul, actually, I'm looking forward to seeing Joe Flacco, hoping that he could pick apart that Ravens defense. What do you make about the storyline, though? Well, those NFL schedule makers, I'm not saying that they tripped Zach Wilson on purpose during the Eagles game, but I'm like not saying it because, wow, how did the NFL schedule makers just happen to schedule Jets Ravens and it just happens? Oh, Joe Flacco's a backup. I guess he's the guy. What do you make of that juicy storyline that's potentially there?
It's not. It would be the first time the NFL had big time story. I mean, you have Russell Wilson playing in Seattle on Monday night next week, so obviously they understand what they're doing. And Deshaun Watson, his first game back as it gets at Houston in December. So yeah, they have a bit of a sense of humor. The NFL schedule makers do, and I mean, obviously this would be a perfect scenario for them to have Joe Flacco play against his former team there and against the guy that replaced him ultimately. So yeah, I definitely think for storylines that would definitely be one of the best ones for week 1.
No question about it. Again, we see Andrew Case, MI Pod in the building. What's up, everybody? And again, a loyal supporter, of course, of the podcast, and Antwan Staley and everybody else. So I can't wait to see you guys on Sunday. And same to everyone who happens to be watching. Again, if you have tickets to the game, you guys could still go to the game, but this is a pregame tailgate. No tickets required. The $30 is merely the food, drink, and all the fun times they're going to be having. So I want everybody to keep that in mind there as well. Speaking of Flacco, real quick, Antoine, what's your gauge? Because I'm going to be honest, for the most part of Joe Flacco over the last couple of years, this is his second stint as he's running here with the Jets. It was kind of like LOL Flacco because he seemed to kind of be, from all the reporting and the other places, both in Baltimore when Lamar came in, he said, I'm not freaking helping out Lamar Jackson. I'm trying to help him take my job. He goes to Denver and says the same kind of things about Drew Lock. That ain't my job to kind of mentor him up and help him do anything. I'm just here to do my job. And then heading into this one, the relationship seems a little different between him and Zach Wilson. What do you make of the whole Joe Flacco experience and how he's looked in camp?
Well, I think now he just understands the situation. I mean, obviously, everybody wants to be a starter, no matter if you're the third string running back or, the backup quarterback. And, he would love to start for a team, but he understands that, the Jets starter when healthy is Zach Wilson. So I definitely think he's, willing to help Zach Wilson along. And at the same time, when Zach got hurt, I think he stepped up and did well in camp. He had some good days. Probably a couple of days not so good, but I think for the most part, I think along with him practicing with the first team, I thought he did a really good job considering the situation, and the receivers seemed to like him too as well. They talked about his experience and the way that he throws the ball, not to necessarily throw shade to Zach Wilson, but obviously Joe Flacco he has experience and he's going to do things a little bit more differently than somebody that's 2 years in the league and played 10 games last year. So yeah, I definitely think they like what they see from Flacco, and they definitely think he's capable of playing should something happen to Zach Wilson, or he can't play week 1.
Antoine, is it over dramatic? I joined a Ravens podcast earlier this week. I believe that interview drops on the channel tomorrow. But they said, like at the end, because it was unknown whether or not Zach Wilson was going to play. And they said, the Ravens people and the pulse of the fan bases, we'd much rather play Zach Wilson if we had the choice. And they said, because, young quarterbacks against Ravens defense, which again, Wink Martindale is not there. He's in New York with the Giants. So that's an unknown that we don't know. But he said, I'd much rather face a young quarterback that's the unknown than Joe Flacco, even if Zach Wilson is more talented. Is that... I know you're not the Ravens fan. You're not speaking for him, but is that a fair take to have, or is that kind of ridiculous? What do you think?
I see what they're saying because, Zach Wilson, I mean, he threw a lot of interceptions last year and a lot of turnovers. So you have guys that are very young coming into the league, very erratic. I definitely think, you see somebody like Joe Flacco who's going to be a little bit more cautious, but, he may not be able to do some of the same things he was able to do with the Ravens, but at least – he's not going to make critical mistakes at times. Although he did make one in the preseason game that was kind of, up in the air. But for the most part, you think, with Joe Flacco, what you're going to get. You're going to get somebody that's consistently not making mistakes. He may not be able to win the game for you, but you're not going to get somebody that's going to kill you for the most part. There with Zach Wilson, it could be boom or bust there.
I think that's a great way to put it. I keep seeing Andrew Cage popping more things here, so I got to just keep sharing them. Merch, we're going to have some giveaways happening at the tailgate this Sunday. Again, 9 to 12. There'll be food. Again, you don't need much more convincing on that. You give me some food, I'll be there. That's for sure. And then, of course, you guys, again, Antoine, myself, and a couple others will all be there as well. So make sure you guys.
I don't know how many people are coming to see me, but I'll definitely be there though.
come on, Antoine. You're the headliner. Okay. We're just, I'm the jester. No, I just a little dance before you get out there. Yeah.
I think the food and the liquor are the headliners. I'm just there.
That's going to be on it. You know what? You're right, Antoine. You're able to cut right through. Let's be honest. We're all dancing around like, hey, Boy Green and Antoine are going to be there. Like the food and the liquor is going to be there. We're just going to be there. So let's call it how we see it.
Just a side order, like appetizers or whatever. So
that's right. I feel like it's even worse. I feel like we're like, they order food and drink and then they're like, here you go. Here's your meal. Like, I didn't order this. And then they're like, well, I guess I'll leave it on the table anyway. That's what we are. Right? That's just the unordered meal that they're like, it'd be inconvenience if you took it away. So here we are. That's the meal. Antoine, you've been around football for a while, and I want to ask you about Joe Klecko. I know you haven't been on the Jets beat specifically, but I saw you guys got to chat it up with Joe after the news came out that he's going to be a senior finalist. And of course, from everyone I talked to, Gary Myers, Rich Meany, that have been around forever, they seem to suggest this is a formality and that Joe Klecko will get the required 80+% of the votes coming up in the new year, right at the start of 2023, to become a Hall of Famer. What do you make of that, and kind of what you make of Joe? I don't know if that was your first time ever talking to him.
Yeah, it was. I mean, just from what I understand, it's like you said, it's a formality. He's going to get in. I'm not a voter, but just talking to some of the people that are that on the Jets beat too, and some other beats around the country, he's definitely going to get in. It's somebody that I think a lot of people thought should have been in years ago. I mean, we're talking about a guy that was in the late '70s, throughout the '80s, was really dominant. And you talk about the New York Shack Exchange there, helped form that crew, and the Jets ended up doing some great things in that in the early '80s. I mean, I wasn't around back then, but I definitely I definitely understand the history of football and how great those teams were, and close to getting to the Super Bowl there for the Jets throughout that time. And it helped just really revolutionize some of the defensive lines back then in the NFL. And that was even before sacks had become an official stat. But
Right.
yeah, it's crazy that he just dominated, especially in three different positions, the way that he did. I don't know if many people could do that, probably outside of Aaron Donald
Right.
nowadays. Just dominated three different positions. But yeah, he's a freak of nature, still a pretty big guy, and he's definitely enjoying the moment, and I'm sure he's definitely going to enjoy Canton. And he also brought up that Darrelle Revis could possibly get in too. So yeah, I wonder if the Hall of Fame, especially going with the theme of schedule makers, they may have the Jets be with the team they play in the Hall of Fame game next year.
That would be a lot of fun. And again, it makes sense because if you really think about it, there's no real science, technically speaking, to the Hall of Fame game. The committee members, they're the ones who select who plays. But if you're going to try to sell the most tickets, get the most action out of it, you'd want to involve fan bases that have direct correlation, direct reason to be there. And if both Joe Klecko and Revis go in, there's going to be a lot of Jet fans there anyway who would likely stay for the game if the game, of course, included their own team. So, Antoine, I
And
think you
also
may be
now
onto something.
remember now the game is before the induction ceremony, so
Right.
they can go to the game and then they'll stay for the weekend for the induction ceremony. So yeah, that'd be, I think that's the perfect way to go if you're the NFL as far as trying to get Jets fans there.
100%. I know Jet fans will be there on Sunday for week one of this Jets Ravens season opener. A couple more before we get you out of here, Antoine. Getting back to the game, have you given a first look at Baltimore? I know Robert Saleh says he's been looking at this team since the schedule came out. I can only assume the same for you, Antoine, as you've been breaking down film on all things Baltimore Ravens. What do you think of them? How good is this Ravens team, you think?
I mean, defensively, I mean, I've kind of looked at them. Offensively, I mean, you kind of know what you're already going to get anyway. Lamar didn't play in the preseason, so like you understand the type of physical team that they're gonna and the challenges they're gonna present for the Jets defense. There, I feel like they've gotten better. Obviously, getting the Carl Lawson back and getting signing DJ Reed and Jordan Whitehead there to go along with Jermaine Johnson there, and I'm sure Michael Clemons will get some work rotationally as well. So yeah, I definitely think defensively they've gotten better, but yeah, it's going to be put to the test, especially a team that's very physical, likes to run the football, whether it be with their quarterback or running backs there. And then offensively, for the Jets too, yeah, they have a new coordinator, came over from Michigan. There, I actually talked about Wade Martindale's now in New York, but he was the former linebacker coach there with the Ravens too. So I imagine they'll use some of the same type of concepts and schemes there too as well. I know Michigan used a similar type of defense there. So yeah, I definitely looked at their defense. That's more what I'm worried about. I know what they are offensively. I think everybody else does, but you just kind of want to see a little bit what they did preseason wise defensively, and that's kind of what I did a little bit last week and probably a little bit this week too as well.
Well, I know the Jets announced their team captains for the 2022 season, although I didn't know this nugget, sharing it in from John Hepburn on YouTube. He says the team voted Michael Clemons a captain, but he turned it down, saying he doesn't like titles. Wow, that's it. You know what, Michael Clemons, what a guy. Let's use this to talk Michael Clemons. I'm going to be honest, it seemed like to the Jets fan base, a relative afterthought, the quote unquote Mr. Irrelevant of the Jets draft class, the fourth round. He was the last pick before they broke up for the draft and said, okay, let's move on to other things. Not a lot of people gave this guy much of anything. An older player, had some weird off the field concerns that raised some people's eyebrows, but it seems like he's been, quite frankly, a revelation. Has that been the same experience for you, Antoine? And what is it like? Few people can say this and survive to tell the tale. You were in the room when you're doing these press conferences, mere feet away from Michael Clemons, and live to tell the tale. What are those press conferences like?
Well, I actually liked him coming out of A&M. I thought he was like really dominant at times. I mean, obviously, you brought up some issues off the field, and also, injuries too as well. I think played a role in kind of where he fell there. But when he was on the field, I thought this guy is really good, and could potentially. I feel like had he stayed healthy and without those issues, we talking about second or third round pick in the draft, and to be able to get him where they did, especially to add on to the defensive line, I definitely think is a bit of a steal for the Jets. But yeah, to talk about this presence, yeah, I mean, just the voice and stuff like that. Yeah, some people are a little, afraid of him in the locker room, or just him talking. But yeah, he seems like I'm curious, like, because I definitely want to talk to him in the locker room, and I'm going to at some point. Yeah, you just kind of one of those people like you have to find out what he likes, and then I bet you he'll start just talking about a lot of different things too as well. So I'm curious to kind of see, what he does like maybe on and off the field, and what kind of gets him going as a person. But yeah, I mean, he's definitely an interesting guy, and he doesn't even care if they call him Debo or not. But the Jets players have had a good time with that.
That to me, I couldn't, because again, for those who watch the press conferences, I know not everyone does. Everyone's not that diehard, I guess. But the cameras are on the players, so we don't normally see the reporters. The only time we do is the one Jets drive. When they'll cut back and kind of cut you and work some of you guys in. But when the reporter asked him about the nickname, and he goes, "What nickname? What are you talking about?" I went, "Oh!" Immediately, I went,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
just backed up in my chair, like, "Oh, hell no! Okay, you didn't hear it. I didn't hear it either. I'm not bringing it up." But God, the gall for the reporter to say, "Debo," and then he kind of like did this funny snicker. It's just, man, he's just a very interesting personality. So, Antoine, I'm looking forward to you potentially breaking down those walls in the locker room. And first off, for your job, I just love the fact that you guys are being welcomed back into the locker room. I'll be honest. I was a little fearful. I know this is getting into the weeds, but I was a little fearful that, so COVID happens and then they do all this Zoom stuff. For the NFL teams, I imagine it's easier to flip on a camera and control the narrative as opposed to letting you guys kind of do your jobs in the locker room. They could control the press if they did it the other way. And I was a little nervous if you guys were ever going to get that back. Were you at all nervous about that, or you always thought that, they'll give it to us back? It makes everyone's job better.
I figured they would, just because the NFL, like, you love stories, and the only way you get like great stories is unless you're in the locker room or doing like one-on-one interviews. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of hard to do that when, I mean, you could, because I've covered college sports, so it's ways to kind of circumvent that. But
Right.
it's a lot more difficult there on a professional level, if you're gonna do it. So yeah, I figured they would at some point. It was just a matter of what they would look like. But yeah, I'm glad that they have given the access back, but also they kind of kept the Zoom around too. Like on Mondays, we'll have Zoom, and I imagine like press conferences through the whole season will probably have Zoom as well. So it's a way to kind of incorporate both for there, which I'm all about too as well.
All right, Antoine, tell me. We'll do two things here. We'll give another plug, of course, the Middle Initial podcast coming up on Sunday. But I have one more question. What are you most looking forward to? So you take the Jets job, you get the Jets job, and well deserved, well earned. I've heard a lot of great things about you before you even were even getting the job, back from all your other exploits. But what is the number one thing you're looking for? Is it a certain player to see if they're going to break out? Something about the Jets in general that you're just trying to see? Like, what is on your mind? What's the number one thing you're looking forward to this season, whether on or off the field?
Well, I think Robert Saleh really just kind of, you become a first year head coach, and I mean, it's hard. A lot of people have those high expectations of wanting to make the playoffs and teams wanting to be better, but you're learning on the job too. It's something that he certain responsibilities he's never really had before. You become essentially a CEO of an organization, especially on the field, as opposed to just worried about one specific unit. So yeah, I'm definitely wanting to see his maturation, and what changes from year one to year two for him personally. there. So I think that's the biggest thing that I want to see from this year, and how they go about things schematically, on the field as well.
And as am I. Robert Saleh to me is a guy that's immediately, almost assimilated himself to the fan base, and everyone's in love with him. He's just so genuine is the word that just continues to come out to me when I see him in press conferences, and he just seems like such a real person as opposed to some of the other head coaches the Jets have had of recent lore, which may or may not, elicit that same response. All right, before we get out of here, another shout out again, me, Antoine, and the Food and Liquor, most importantly. Are going to be there at the Middle Initial Podcast home opener tailgate. Again, it's $30, and for $30, you get your bang for your buck. You get the food, you get the liquor. It's going to be from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. in lot J14 at MetLife Stadium. Again, you want to book your ticket in advance so you can get a spot. Okay. Hey, spots run out eventually. We only have so much space, so it's going to be gated off. If you want to hang out with us and chill for a couple of hours, again, it is lot J14. It is $30. You get the food, the beverages, the game, some of the games we're going to be playing, photo opportunities, giveaways of merch, and so much other cool stuff. So, guys, make sure you go. Again, Middle Initial Podcast for all the details. Antoine, we're looking forward to your coverage. Welcome to the beat officially. Once you get Boy Green, you're officially on the beat. So, booyah. Welcome, my friend. And we're looking forward to all your coverage coming up this season, my friend.
All right. Thank you for having me.
There he is, Antwan Staley of the New York Daily News. Thanks, everybody, and I'll see you guys later for on the Buffalo Jet Fans YouTube channel. Thanks, everybody.